Greetings. How y'all doing today? Today is December 25th. It's a Wednesday. Wednesday is a day that is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is the reason that we are having this conversation. Mercury is currently at the 12th degree of Sagittarius. And so we have 10 more degrees before Mercury reaches January 2nd. Good morning, Courtney, and good morning, Organized Chaos. And good morning, Bella Therapy. I'm not sure what that says, but hold on one second. My cat, y'all, let me tell you, my cat, she about to come back here. Let's see, there she is. My cat stalks me all the time in the house, and it is so intense. Like, she is constantly wanting to be with me and next to me. And stop it, Ma'at. I don't want you to do it right now. Stop it. I want you to stop it. And the thing that has been so interesting is I've been learning how cats are, when they're on your body, they're healing you. When they're purring, they are helping you make adjustments in your energy field. They can see other dimensions. As I've been learning about how they really function, I understand that her desire to be on me is to support me, to support my healing journey, to support my body. And it's too much. Like, I need space. I'm like, okay, I get it, but get off me. And so this morning I slept late. I did my spiritual practice and then went back to sleep because I knew I didn't have any clients today. And it's rare to not have any clients on a Wednesday, but it's the Matrix holiday. So I knew I wasn't going to have any clients. So I got up this morning and did my practice, because when I woke up at 4, like I normally do, I was just wide awake. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I remember, it's the holiday. And so do your practice, but then go back to sleep. Go back to sleep and let yourself dream about whatever you want to dream about, because that is the power of this winter energy. When we allow ourselves to use winter the way it's meant to be used, which is to rest, to luxuriate in your body and healing yourself and caring for yourself and imagining yourself the way you really want to be, because the 12th degree is a degree that is ruled by Pisces. And so with Sagittarius, it's the faith that your imagination is alive and working. And many of us don't understand the power of our imagination. We just don't get how, the Egyptians called it the Amenta. It's also called the Akashic field. There are alternate realities, and when we can imagine ourselves in another perspective, you are literally calling that reality into your experience. If you're if you are a woman who's single and you imagine yourself being married and you do it every day, or you want children and you imagine yourself as a mother. I remember when I spent so much time wanting to be a wife. I spent years from 14 to the time that I got married, which was, I think I was 35, wanting to be a wife. And when I decided that I really wanted to have children, I just imagined that every child that I encountered was mine, and treated every child with the love that I would treat my own child. And until that experience came into existence. This is the power of our imagination. Really seeing yourself in an experience and feeling it before you get there. You understanding that you don't have to see the physical world is, when things hit the physical experience, it's on its way out. It's dying. The spiritual world is where things are real and where you can go and pick things out, and you pick it out with your imagination. It's like a fishing rod. Your imagination is like a fishing rod. And so while Mercury is at the 12th degree today, see, now my cat wants to go out. It's like first she been bothering me to come in. Now she is trying to get me to go out. Like, make up your mind. No, I'm not. Sit down. Make up your mind. Sit down and stop it. Okay. So your imagination is like a fishing rod. It will catch the dimension, the energy, the frequency of what you focus on with your imagination, which is this field of energy that is like the God field. That's what the imagination is. But then your mind is what can bring it into this reality. They are children when they see you distracted. Yes, B, that is absolutely right. They are children. Thank you for that. So when when you can be in the imagination as if it's already here, it's already done, and it's like, so for me, every day I spend time imagining myself in the way that I truly am fully expressed. And I don't necessarily imagine my external world different as much as I imagine me being different. I am someone else. I imagine myself being more confident. I imagine myself having more access to my magic. I imagine myself being, stop it. I have this little softball that I just give her a little push with. It's a little ball that I bang my body with to help me release tension. I imagine who I am because that's what I have control over. I have control over me. I'm not trying to control the 3D reality because the 3D reality will change when I change. Now, the question is, can I imagine myself believing that I'm capable of bending reality? Imagining myself, seeing myself doing things that I've not been able to do. Imagine myself being more magical. Imagine myself having dominion over this reality. Like it's literally imagining myself into a new way of being. So that's what I'm saying. It's about having faith in your capacity, your capabilities. And the thing that I'm seeing now, because I've been devoted to this work since I had my Saturn's return when I was 29. And so I'm about to come into my next Saturn's return soon, because you have them every 29 years. So I'll be having my next one in about 2 years or so. And what I have discovered is that the invisible field, the more I use my imagination and trust it, the invisible field gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's just a fascinating experience. One of the things that I spent yesterday with my family celebrates the holiday on the day before, and we always have. When I was a child, we always had big celebrations. I remember being 3 and 4 years old, and trees that hit the ceiling, and because I had an auntie who was a school teacher, and she didn't have any children of her own, and my family is very matriarchal. My family, we come from Shreveport, Louisiana, and Lake Charles, Louisiana. And my great grandfather and my great grandmother, John and Teresa, had 3 daughters and 2 sons. But the daughters were like, they were Christian witches is what they were. Of course, they didn't use that word, that language, witches, but they were Christian witches. And our family owned mortuaries. We owned mortuaries and churches. Okay? Mortuaries and churches. And then when we moved to Los Angeles, my family went through a lot of stuff. But the thing that was interesting is when I was born into the family, I was the oldest granddaughter of the oldest daughter. And so there was Myrtle, Maud, and Naomi. My grandmother was the oldest, and Maud was the sister who was the school teacher, she had a big house and would have these big celebrations. And then Naomi was the youngest sister. And so every Christmas Eve, we would go to my Maud's house, and they were like the age I am now when I was 3 and 4. And so I'm about 56 now. And my grandmother was 55 when I moved in with her. And so there would be my grandmother would cook these incredible big dinners, and Maud couldn't cook, but Maud had a big ass house, and she would go shopping and buy everybody in the family presents from Robinson's, which was a very exclusive department store at the time. So we would have a big tree, it would be beautifully decorated, and then we'd have these burgundy boxes from Robinson's that had these big bows on them. And every year I would get like a robe and a gown and underclothes, but they would be really nice because it would be from the store. And so we've carried that tradition on. And, now we are the ones. And it's so interesting. And my aunt, Teresa, owns the house that my Aunt Maud owned. And so we still celebrate at the same house. And even though I'm not a Christian anymore and I don't celebrate Christian holidays, I do celebrate my family and I love them. And they are so cool. And they're human, you know what I mean? And I get to be myself with them. And so yesterday I spent some time with my son and a little bit of time with my son's father and his wife and Lala, who is a family friend that was friends with we're all together, right? And it felt so good to be able to be myself. Like I've gotten to the place where I'm not defending myself any longer. I'm no longer like needing to judge them for being Christians or whatever it is they practice. I get to be myself. And it was really interesting. We were having this conversation about Jamie Foxx and my Aunt Teresa, who raised me also, because her mother, my grandmother, Myrtle, and then Teresa's her daughter. And so when I moved in, Teresa was 12 and I was 4. And so we were talking about Jamie Foxx, the Jamie Foxx special, and Teresa was saying how moved she was by it. And I was like, I wasn't moved at all. I didn't believe any of it. I watched it. It didn't sound real to me. It all sounded like he's just doing some sort of ritual to get back in good graces. Like, I just don't care. And she's an Aquarius, right? And so Aquarians they're knowing. You know what I mean? Aquarians and Sagittarius are knowing. And I'm a Virgo, and Virgo is knowing also, but we tend to be softer in our knowing. And I noticed myself. I was like, oh, I'm being myself. Like I'm not trying to convince her of what it is that I felt. I'm just not going to shift what I felt because she felt different. You know what I mean? And it felt really good because yesterday was a day for the Mercury was at the 11th degree, which was ruled by Aquarius. And that's what I was saying yesterday. Can you be yourself with others? Or will you collapse into other people's ideas? Or will you feel like you have to fight, because if you're fighting for it or if you're collapsing, then you're not really there yet. But yes, I felt myself stand up in myself. And it was also really interesting. Like I have had this interesting relationship with my son's father, and we were married for a while, and he's a very old soul. Like he's 7 years younger than me. So when we got together, he was 20 something and I was early 30s. And then we got married when I was 35 and he was still 20 something, right? But he has an old soul, and he was raised by his grandfather, like I was raised by my grandmother. And so he just I've always sort of sought out his approval, is what I'll say. And I can feel it in me. I can feel me getting off of my square and wanting his approval. And it is a deep, intense experience. And yesterday I was aware of it because I didn't anticipate seeing him. So when I saw him, I was like, okay, inside of myself, I was like, okay, let me make an adjustment. Let me get it together. And I just reminded myself, like, you are a whole mystic. You move through the world in a completely different way. the way you have chosen to align yourself as who you are is not who you were when you were married to him. It's not the same. So don't collapse and become that person who needs approval, and just be in your space, And so I was just kind. How you doing? Da-da-da. And I was myself, and I shared openly because everybody was like, we're not having Christmas this year because of money, and we're just going to have food. And so, we talked about how the year had been challenging for all of us in various ways. But the thing in me that is normally internally begging him to see me or agree with me or support me, or I was like, oh, I'm not doing it. But I could feel that it was there. And that I was standing in the way I live my life. I live my life through intuition. And the thing that has been fascinating in that experience, the reason it's a pull, is because when we were in relationship, all the things that I believe in now, I believed in then. And he would always poo-poo it. Oh, that's nonsense. Oh, that don't make no sense. None of that is real. Grow up, right? And so that it would bruise me. I would be like, And so now I'm like, he has his right to feel how he feels. And that's just not how I live my life. I live in because I understand that we're all unique, and somebody else's perspective can be what it is. And it has nothing to do with my perspective at all. No, even if I'm married to them, even if I have had children with them, their perspective has nothing to do with me. And it took me a long time. It took me the time that it took me to get to that. And that is the power of Aquarius. Can you be with people who have different ideas and still be yourself? Now we are at the 12th degree, which is Pisces, which is the empathy piece, which is like, we're all unique, but we all share the same materials. We're all different, but we're all configured of the same energetic systems. So the Pisces energy is a blending. I mean, it's like a oneness kind of experience. It's where our imagination, stop it, my aunt, stop it. It's where the oneness experience, stop it, girl, stop. Y'all should see her. My cat, she literally is, she's like, I want to get down and touch you. She is so funny. Let me see if I can. No, that's not right. Yeah, here it is. Here she is. They're looking at you, my aunt. They can see you. I want you to sit there until I'm finished. Thank you. Okay. All right. So she waiting. She counting. She literally in her head counting. I can hear her counting. So the Pisces energy is how you access your individuality in the Pisces energy is by what are you imagining for yourself? Isn't she beautiful? She is so sweet. She is the sweetest little kitty. She is so sweet. She just don't leave me alone. She just, and I'm very, she just doesn't leave me alone. So, and when I got the cats, people told me like, cats don't want to be bothered. Like people were like, oh, you'll be fine. They don't want to be bothered. These cats are like dogs. They are up under me all the time. They absolutely want to be bothered all the time. Okay, so Pisces is the imagination. And the way to, it's like Pisces says, what do you imagine for yourself? That's how you access your individuality in this field of Neptune and water. It's like what gives you your individual, what makes you unique? Like if you can access your uniqueness, which is Aquarius yesterday, and then when you come into Pisces, it's holding your own energy. It's not giving over to the other because of this nebulousness. Like, are you solid enough in yourself to hold yourself no matter what frequency is, right? Like until it's time to give over into because Pisces is also endings. Pisces is also endings. And, So by the time we come to Pisces, it's devotion. It's like, I'm doing all of this for this greater good. Who I am is in service. Like, Christ was a Pisces. Christ wasn't a Capricorn. They say, but Pisces was a Pisces. Not a crisis, a Pisces. Though Pisces is crises. but Jesus was a Pisces. So if you look at the story of Jesus, if Jesus even existed, but if you look at the story, there's a movie called The Chosen. It's a series, and it is on Amazon. And I watched it over and over and over again because I really needed to have a deeper understanding of the story of Jesus. It didn't matter if it was real or not, or if it had, but I needed to understand the archetype of Jesus. And they do a really good job. Of course, many of their facts are off, like, he didn't have wool hair. He didn't have bronze skin. He didn't have, they've totally whitened everything. But I had to get past that, which is why I watched it like 6 times. So I could get past what I was seeing with my eyes and I could get to the actual story. This is a story about a man who loves everyone where they are. He meets people where they are. He doesn't demand that people come into his frequency. He holds his frequency so intently, so deeply committed, and takes his frequency to meet others where they are. And that is Pisces energy. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So today is a day for you to be in the imagination of who you are and to know that everyone has the same power and the same gifts. They use it. They might use it unconsciously, but everybody is connected to the source of all. Everyone is. I don't care how they look. And do you have the courage to see God in everyone? Because God is in everyone. Everyone has breath. And so by that, we know that God is in everyone because everyone has breath. And no matter what they're doing, can you determine to see God in it? Can you determine to see God in it and not lose yourself? Because the more of us that can use this power to see God in all things, that is the power of Pisces, because then we begin to morph reality into our image. If you can see God or love in the most interesting experiences, if you can go, oh, that's an interesting way God is expressing itself. That's an interesting thing that God is expressing. If you can do that, then that is high magic. That is high magic. That. All right, you all. Happy. Today is the day that that we gain 1 minute of light. We will gain 1 minute of light every day until we have the summer solstice. So, what will you do with your 1 minute of light? What will you do with it? What will you do with your 1 minute of light? I just love it, right? So imagine if every day, starting now until summer, you honored 1 minute of something, just like, I love myself. Like for 1 minute, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Or writing some affirmations, or loving your body, or doing something like, for 1 minute, use the energy to honor yourself and honor that more light is coming in. And if you tell the light how you want it to be by ritualizing it, you will have more of that in your life. But if you ignore it and continue with the same behavior, you will have more of the same in your life. Okay, if you guys need support, you can book your readings or coaching sessions at healwithmoonmama.com. Yeah. At healwithmoonmama.com. And that's it. That's it. I love y'all. Have a really beautiful day. Bye-bye.